What's going on, everyone? I'm Travis Brown here in Omaha at Charles Schwab Field. At Texas A&M just got done with a little practice before their championship series against Tennessee. And I'm joined here with Troy Wansing, Texas A&M pitcher, who's back home in College Station after a little bit of rehab work, a little bit of surgery. First off, how are you feeling? I know you had a back injury. What have you done to kind of fix that, and how's the recovery going so far?
Yeah, it's been good. I guess that's the biggest reason why I've kind of been MIA all year. It hasn't been like super put out there that I've kind of been dealing with this issue, but I had a back injury and then I had to go get that worked on last week. Uh, I went up to Dr. Mark Wiley in Fort Worth. He's really good friends with Slosh and it's like the TCU team doc, so he was awesome. But from compared to how I was feeling before that to now, I feel amazing. So I'm super psyched that I got that done. But it was frustrating because I've been out for the whole season, but we didn't really know what was going on. So it took a while. It's good to know and kind of have like a directed path back to baseball.
Yeah, and the prognosis will have you back pitching at some point here in the next year or so.
Yeah, I should be back ready to rock for pretty much all of next season, which will be really cool.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Glad to hear that that's went well for you and you're going on. So you've been able to sit around and watch a little bit of what's been going on up here in Omaha and really this season as well. How would you kind of describe this team this season, where they've gotten to this far from the real up close and personal view you've gotten of everything?
Yeah, I've had a super unique perspective on it. It's been really cool. Something that I really have never had during my baseball career of like a team. I've never really had a serious injury that's taken me out for like a long period of time. Uh, but it's been awesome to see the guys play this year. It's super cool just to see how like obviously we're teammates, but so much like more than that, we're just friends. Like I think that's the biggest thing that you can see with this team is that everyone enjoys being around each other and everyone loves playing for each other. I think you obviously seen that when Beaumont went down, when Shane went down, and we just continue to win ball games. And like we never miss a step. King came in, Stewie's been great, Lampkin's been great. It's just been so cool to see that there's no like fret in this team, and it's just kids having fun and kids just being kids on a baseball field.
Yeah, so much of when you talk about the pitching staff has to go back to the addition of Max Weiner, the new pitching coach. What I know you were limited and what you were able to do this year, but how much of an impact has he made on this pitching staff, and what have those impacts been with the pitching staff and with you with the work that you've gotten to do with him as well?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Max is that he's just instilled so much confidence in people. I think it was never a skill issue for us last year. It was always a confidence issue and just like a approach to the game. We were scared out of the zone a lot of time last year, and I think that's one of the biggest things this year is that no one's scared out of the zone, and if they are, people are able to kind of call that out for what it is and get right back in the zone. I think you see that the most when we face star hitters. I think that you see teams like face Caglione. He's a great hitter, but he still gets out. And I think Max plays his cards and tells us like, hey, like this kid is not Superman. He's gonna get out. If you just make your pitch, you're gonna get out. And we don't end up having to intentionally walk guys and create big innings for guys because we give up free bases. And I think another big thing with Max is that he's very, very, very smart. And I think you guys see that, but you don't see it in the way that we see it. The way he uses analytics to kind of instill that confidence, like I said earlier, is super big time. And he's just an absolute awesome guy. He's one of the chillest dudes I've ever been around, and he's just so fun to be around.
Yeah, you have confidence is the same thing I've heard from a lot of the guys I've talked to up here. You mentioned the analytics. What are some of the ways that you take a team that was kind of struggling with some confidence and get them to a College World Series final program confidence wise?
Yeah, I think we kind of went into, or as a pitching staff, we went into this season, or even began the fall with like two main goals. It was to win the 0 count, to win the 1-1 count, and limit 3-ball counts. And I think we were like top three in the country in those three stats. And that was like a complete 180 of what we were last year. And it was just such like this simple, clear approach to how we're going to win ball games that he kind of laid out that was like extremely helpful. And we've always had a clear cut direction with him from the very start. And I think that's why you've seen all the success. Even when we had bad games, we never went to anything about were those like three main points. Like, did we win the OOs and did we win the 1-1s? And if we did, and we simply just pitched bad, we were able to live with that. And we never got away from just being ourselves. I think that was super key this year.
Yeah, so you've seen Justin Lampkin come out, have two great starts. Ryan Prager come out and have a great start. Tell me a little bit about those guys and their progression, and just kind of what you saw from your perspective that was working so well from them in those starts to get them here 3-0 into the finals.
Yeah, I think Justin Lampkin, that's been a long time coming for him. He struggled a little bit this year, but he also pitched some big games in some big spots. I think the coolest thing about that is that that's him. That's who he was in the fall. And we're finally getting to see that displayed in the regular season, and it's getting displayed on the biggest stage, which is the most cool thing. And with Prager, I think Prager's just been nails all year. I think it's hard to say that was uncharacteristic for Prager. But I think both of them, the coolest thing that I saw from them this past week was that how just composed they were. They were never sped up. The moment was never too big, and they just continued to make pitches. They continued to dominate the zone, as we say. And I think they gave themselves the best chance to do that when they threw strikes, and it was just, it all came together for them.
Sure. And then another guy, two other guys really, is Chris Cortez and Josh Stewart, especially because he's a guy that sat out for pretty much the entirety of the NCAA tournament, but has been huge in the regional, or excuse me, the College World Series here. Those two guys' development, when you talk about the confidence that Max Wiener's bringing, it seems like those two guys are really epitome of some of that work. Is that the perspective you've seen so far too?
I'd say so, yeah. I think for Chris, obviously Chris has always had the stuff. It was just a matter of, from at least from what I saw from Chris, it was him believing in himself and believing that he could do it. And he wholeheartedly believes that now. He obviously struggled the other night, but that's not going to affect him. He'll be nails when we need him in these next three games. And then from Stewie's standpoint, I absolutely love that kid. I played catch with that kid for the past year or so. So I've had kind of like a first row seat of like his development and just the changes he's made from last year to this year, pitch shapes and stuff like that. How good his sweeper is, and just how confident he is as a human. And his own skin is so cool. And I think that those, obviously the confidence is the main key to both those guys' success.
And for the people who just look up at the scoreboard and see the speeds that Evan Oschenbeck pitched, they'll kind of probably go, yeah, what is it with this guy? But what is it with this guy? Because he is the stopper of the year. He is nails. He is the closer. And he does it in a way that's maybe less stereotypical than your typical closer.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I knew what it was for Evan, because I would go and do the exact same thing. But I think it's just a combination of everything. I think it's a combination of pitch shapes, commands, just the ability to slow the game down. And I think that it's just like a really unique package. For some reason, there's some deception to it that guys just don't pick up, and he suffocates the zone so much that you just don't get a pitch off. I think that's the biggest thing about it. It's three pitches for strikes, and it's three pitches for quality strikes at all times. And he's just the ultimate competitor. It's so cool. He's so level-headed. And he'll do anything to help this team win. And it's just so cool to see that.
So Schlossnagle said this is the time of the year, especially now in this series, where there's going to be some other guys beside those five guys we've named off that they've used so far that are probably going to have to step up and hear their name called. Who are some guys that really always impress you that you think could have a maybe be that Caden Kent from the pitching staff in this series?
Yeah, I think a guy like Weston Moss, we've seen some really cool flashes, some really impressive flashes from him. He's an awesome kid. He's a great kid. He's grown so much. I imagine he'll get a chance to pitch. He'll be one of those first few names called. And then Caden Wilson's another guy that I think will get called upon. He's awesome. He throws super hard. He has great stuff. Just an all-around great kid. And I think I think that's one of the pieces that I've seen, not that we're lacking it, but that's different from last year, is that we had two freshmen step up with Lampkin and Stale last year. And I think that in this series, we're going to see Caden Wilson and Weston Moss step up as freshmen this year. So it'll be super cool. They deserve it. And yeah, it's just they're just so bought in. It's so cool, and they deserve whatever work they get.
We don't have enough time to go through all the good hitters that A&M has this year. But as a pitcher who I assume in the fall faced some of these guys, or even in the past have faced some of these guys, what is it about this lineup that is that make them so potent this year? Especially, and I'll kind of throw something at you to answer the own question, but their ability to get deep in the count and to work pitches. How frustrating is that as a pitcher too?
I was just about to say that. I think our best ability is our ability to swing at strikes and take balls. That's their offensive philosophy, and they're the greatest at doing it. And it's super frustrating as a pitcher when you think you absolutely dime a pitch and the guy takes it like there was no chance he was going to swing at it. And that kind of gets in your head. You're like, how did you just take that pitch? They're just so disciplined. They don't get out of their routines. They don't swing too hard or try to do too much. They're just so committed to that approach, and they're just all for the team. I think that's the coolest part about it. It's like it's not about individual stats, although we have some guys that absolutely bang, like Gavin Beaumont did this year, Love did. Hayden's been really good, but it's just about passing the torch and being the best teammate and ultimately scoring the most runs.
How much with Hayden's shot, how much, even though being a first year guy, how much has he been kind of the glue in the locker room? Because it does seem like dude's funny. He's out there a lot. What is sharing a dugout, sharing a clubhouse with like with him, and how much glue does he bring to the team?
Yeah, I get it even a little bit more than some guys typically do. I live with him. So I see it all the time. Even in our
So are you
house.
annoyed by it? Are you annoyed by it at this point?
No, no, actually, it's just the most entertaining thing ever. It's insane how the personality just continues to evolve, and he's just so authentic. I think that's the coolest part about it. He's absolutely hilarious. He's never not himself, and what you guys see is exactly what we see at home. So it's so cool. He's definitely the glue guy of the team. He's so good at just keeping everyone involved and keeping everyone super loose and just cracking jokes at the right time.
So I'll end it with this. I know you've had to go through your rehab, your injuries stuff this year. There's A&M's been kind of plagued by injuries. Speak a word if you could on the training staff and Kaylee, the trainer that y'all have, and the work that they do to help you through the season. And then I'm sure they're working overtime here at the College World Series.
Yeah, I'm actually super glad Kaylee got that little highlight during the game the other night. She absolutely deserves the whole world. She is the greatest human on the face of this earth. She does everything for us. We would not have made it this far without her. She keeps the wheels on the wagon for sure. And especially for me, she did everything in her power to try to get me back on the field for however long we tried. And then beyond that, she exhausted every resource she had to get me the care that I needed once I figured out that I wasn't going to be able to play this year. But she is just an absolute rock star. You guys kind of heard it. She cuts hair, which is true. She pretty much put a bionic leg on Jace the other night, it looked like. So yeah, she's just an absolute rock star. And Garrett's great too. Garrett's her assistant. He doesn't get all the glory, but he's awesome too.
Yeah, and I think she used to do MMA. Are y'all like kind of scared if you don't show up to treatment on time or anything like that? She could roundhouse kick you or something.
I've definitely thought about that. She said that she was gonna go be a professional fighter if she didn't get her first contract with the Dodgers, and she is tough as nails, and it shows. And I could totally see her beating people up.
That's awesome. So where will you be watching this series this weekend?
I'll be in College Station, sadly. I've a ton of FOMO, but it's best for me and kind of rehabbing this back to stay here.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we got to let you be a little bit a part of this here. Thank you so much for giving us a few minutes of your time. And y'all will be sure to check in with you a little bit afterwards to see how everything's turning out. That's Troy Wansing of the Texas A&M Aggies, and thanks everybody for watching.